You're listening to the Downeast Mike podcast, the quirky little podcast from Maine. And now, your host, Downeast Mike. Why, good morning. Good morning, everybody. This is Downeast Mike. You found the Downeast Mike podcast coming to you live, well, recorded live, from way down east Maine, far out on the peninsula, close to an island, out there down east, where the land and sky and the rocky shores meet. And you know, when you're driving on Route 1, you keep going and keep going, and it becomes all blueberry barrens. You keep going. That's where Downeast Mike is, down there in the fog by the spruce trees. This is Downeast Mike, episode number 54, news and commentary, September 14th, 2022. Our motto is that some of this is whimsy, some of this is true, and the interpretation of it all is entirely up to you. And so this is Wednesday, September 14th. In today's exciting episode, we're going to focus on September 14th, 1886. There's a lot going on there. Democrats hope for a stormy election weather in 1886. Austria is resisting Russia. An electric yacht crosses the English Channel. We have Tame moose and meteors. And Maine's timely tree. That is all up ahead in this exciting episode of this podcast. Let's look at the international and world headlines this morning. This is what's going on in the world. Something, if you're just waking up and you don't want to turn the TV on, maybe you're staring at the ceiling in the bedroom wondering, making your little list of stuff you got to go do today, the things you don't want to do. But you should be aware of these things going on around the world. The Queen's coffin is arriving at Buckingham Palace. They've actually been dragging that poor lady around for like weeks now, it seems. But eventually she's going to get back to some place where they'll come to a stop with her. The New Hampshire Senate primary is neck and neck. Big voting there. Ken Starr died. He's been dead over 24 hours, I think, at this point. Smugglers put migrants in suitcases. Empty water tanks, U.S. prosecutors allege. The Fed's war on inflation may take the U.S. economy down with it. And the U.S. economy's not already down? Shooting at Chicago baseball game leaves multiple people injured. Seems like it'd be a good place to be. Well, I'm not going to say that. Let's see. President Biden's going to attend the funeral service for Queen Elizabeth. Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, had everything on the phone he claims was seized by FBI at Hardee's. I wonder if he'd gone to Hooters, if they would have taken his phone there. Biden flies home to Wilmington to vote in Delaware primary. He's a loyalist, isn't he? The Twitter whistleblower made a convincing case that Twitter is a mess. I see nothing else really significant international news. Oh, mosquito fire in Northern California has destroyed dozens of homes. That smoke's blowing right across to Maine, impacting our weather here. In the Maine headlines, Maine costume maker claims retail giants undercut her business through copyright theft. They stole her dress designs, I guess. The UMaine system chancellor is credited with improving communication and increasing transparency. That looks like a puff piece from the Portland Press Herald. Former Maine Met official facing new charges in fraud case. How could they tell? Paul LePage raises fate of Kennebec River Dam as an issue in the Maine governor's race. He's never controversial, that guy. Police investigating after two seriously injured in Portland, Maine. That happened right downtown. I was there when the cops were around. Quite a scene. The streets were all blocked off, and they were milling around. They drew an outline in chalk on the sidewalk, just like a real crime scene. Mystery may soon be solved in case of girl found in Victorian-era coffin at Maine construction site. Well, on that note, I guess we will go back to our regularly scheduled podcast information. So let's go back and look at our word of the day, which we found last week, and we were fascinated by it. It's a 4-letter word that, well, it just meant so much to us seeing it there, those letters arranged in that pattern on the page. DORP, D-O-R-P. The definition of DORP is village. Examples of DORP in a sentence: flavors of DORP licorice and cranberries mid-palate. That was from Tom Mullen of Forbes magazine. So he knew all about DORP. I don't think he used it right, but he knew about it. First known use of DORP was in 1576. It comes from Dutch, from the Middle Dutch, as opposed to the High Dutch, akin to the Old High German. Dorf, village, moor at Thorpe, it says. And since DORP was such a short word of the day, we're going to double down and give a bonus, ding, ding, ding. Word of the day, derf. So we have DORP and derf. Derf is D-E-R-F. It's an adjective. It's from the Scottish. It means bold and daring. Middle English of Scandinavian origin, akin to the Old Norse, the Jarfur bold, akin to Old English, Diorfan, which means to labor or perish. Old Saxon, which means strong, that would be derby, like a derby hat. Old Frisian, which is derv, means bold. It goes on and on. Armenian, derbuck, which is rough and stiff. Derf, bold and daring. All right, 2 words of the day. We're off to a great start. How about our birthdays today? Happy birthday today to Clementine in Dexter, Maine. Clementine will be 65 today. She's an awful sweet gal. She's known for the summertime pies that she sells at the church bake sales. Happy birthday to Alwyn of Camden. Alwyn's a shipbuilder. He's got great skills and prefers working with wood over fiberglass. He's going to be 72 today. He ought to retire soon. On this day in 1980, we were taking a look at some of the movies. The Blues Brothers was playing in Auburn at the Bellevue. Let's see what else is there. Ice Follies was going on. And The Warriors, that was a cheesy movie. That was playing at the Lewiston Drive in 1980. Smokey and the Bandit, too. They'd run that thread out. And anything else there? Bedknobs and Broomsticks and Herbie Goes Bananas, a double feature. Boy, I bet the kids would be wound up after that one. At the Taste of Maine, you could get a Sunday buffet for $6.95, the steamship round of beef, oven-baked chicken, soup, salad, dessert. Senior citizens got a 10% discount. And also Wednesday night was Italian night, $5.50, all you can eat. That was the Taste of Maine restaurant in Woolwich, Maine, now known probably more commonly as a parking lot for workers at Bath Iron Works. No, they're still open for food. 1980, you could buy a Plymouth Arrow for $5,154. It got 27 miles to the gallon. It's a 2-door Plymouth Arrow hatchback, light blue metallic, vinyl, bucket seats, automatic 1600cc engine, rear window defogger, side moldings, AM radio. Wouldn't you like to have that in your driveway? That was from Giant Advance dealership in Auburn. We also had on that day an ad. Tired of high fuel bills? Why not add on? The Marietta Metal Products has the answer. It's a magic heat add-on in both wood and coal-fired burners. It's a model WD and CW. So WD must mean wood and CW must mean coal, huh? Wood and coal-fired boilers can be added to your present oil-fired hot water system and save you fuel dollars. Oh, it'd be great to bring that back today. Have a big bin of coal down the basement. You could hire somebody to shovel that in the furnace all day long. Well, on this day in 1886, from the local papers at Deer Isle, the weirs are full of herring most of the time. The small boats are doing well, hooking mackerel off a black ledge 10 miles east of Isle of Haut. The mackerel are of good size, being 2/3 ones. And throughout that, we don't know what that means. We don't know how long those mackerel are. I picture them about a foot long. How's that, a foot-long mackerel? The schooner S.B. Harris arrived in Boston from North Bay with 120 barrels of mackerel. They sold their sea-packed at $12.75 without the barrel. So I guess you dumped the barrel out because they wanted their barrel back so they could fill it with more mackerel. In Portland, the schooner Clara Bennett arrived with 150 barrels of shore mackerel caught in the night off Matinicus. One small fare of 70 barrels shore mackerel sold at $15, $25 for seconds and first. And at Booth Bay, the steamer Mabel Bird reports catching 100 barrels of mackerel off Pemaquid, all small size. So the mackerel were running on this day in 1886. The news from Europe has something of a warlike flavor. It's rumored that the Bismarck's about to call France to account for her warlike movements, which are interpreted to menace Germany. And then also, again, at Deer Isle, the weirs are full of herring most of the time. The small boats are doing well, hooking mackerel. We read that one. And marine notes... what do we want to see here? The schooner M.K. Rawling of St. George, Maine, returned from Port Royal with ice Monday morning with the loss of a jibboom, the cutwater and waist damaged by collision with the schooner Red Wing of Philadelphia, and the latter was not damaged, so they had a shipwreck. Current news and notes. Boston has already contributed more than $41,000 to Charleston. That's in reference to the Charleston earthquake that occurred around this time. At least 3,000 laborers have begun clearing away the ruins of Charleston. That must have been quite a mess. There's talk of consolidating all the Masonic relief societies in Massachusetts. A train was ditched Saturday at Jewett City, Connecticut, and 16 passengers hurt. 6,000 people witnessed a hanging in Texas on Friday. Not much going on there. 4 more fishermen from the American schooner Meteor have been picked up at sea. This is all just one day's paper. It's hard to keep up with it. Second crop, open growth, and Staten Island strawberries are selling at $1 a quart. 2 strawberry crops in 1 year. A shoe factory occupied by Myron Thomas in Brockton, Mass. Was damaged, $25,000 to $30,000 damage by fire last night. An attempt has been made to poison a family of 12 persons in New Jersey by putting a handful of Paris green in the coffee. They like to poison themselves with that. A servant girl is charged with the attempt to burn the $10,000 house of her employer at Exeter, New Hampshire on Saturday. A miner in Montana on Friday, he attempted to jump across a shaft and he fell 817 feet. He died. Henry Berg won't let Adam Forepaugh Jr. walk his trained horse across a cable stretched over Niagara Falls. They were just full of good ideas around this time. Negotiations have been concluded by which about 100 French families of Lawrence and Lowell, Mass. Will settle on lands in the Ottawa district. A pretty girl has cowhided her persecutor in the streets of Brooklyn. 100 people stood by and applauded her as she gave him a thorough thrashing with a brand new rawhide. On some level, maybe he liked it, I don't know. The New York and Western Associated Press has sent $500 to employees of the News and Courier of Charleston who stood at their post and sent out news during the late earthquake disaster. Nice little bonus there. The Democrats who hoped for a stormy day Monday were disappointed. The weather was all right for election, and the week for State Fair opens admirably. The shower Sunday night laid the dust, and Monday morning dawned bright and cool. Fair weather is predicted also for Tuesday. We have a little clip here that Geronimo, the famous Indian, is 45 or 50 years old, straight as an arrow. I see what they did there. 6 feet tall and of large frame. He has 3 wives and many children. Your life is better for knowing that. For the weather forecast for this day, 1886, you're talking about fair weather, slightly cooler with westerly wind. Synopsis for the past 6 hours, the barometer is highest in Tennessee and Kentucky and lowest north of the upper lake region and in the St. Lawrence Valley. The temperature has fallen generally east of the Mississippi River and has risen westward thereof. Rain has fallen very generally east of the Mississippi River in Texas. Elsewhere, generally fair weather has prevailed. A light frost is expected Monday morning from northern Illinois and eastern Michigan, and killing frosts are reported from Minnesota. On this day, 1886, some very, very cold weather across the nation. A fiery meteor had traversed the country, throwing off flaming particles. It was from Akron. The people living in the coal mining regions, embracing 4 towns and a large range of country, were awakened at 4 o'clock Sunday morning by low, rumbling sounds accompanied by shocks of earthquake, so distinct that houses were terribly shaken and articles on mantles were thrown to the floor. Several years ago, the earth settled several feet without apparent cause in this region, and people are now badly frightened, fearing they will be swallowed up. To make matters more unpleasant, a very large meteor yesterday morning passed over the shaken-up portion of the country, traveling close to the earth and throwing off heated particles every few feet. The meteor illuminated the country for a great distance and is supposed to have struck the earth near the eastern part of the city, as the shock in that locality was distinctly felt immediately after the great fireball passed. Sunday was one of special prayer here by many people. I guess so. Wow, big meteor. 6 carloads of stock coming from the Farmington region, coming to the fair. 6 carloads. They had a queer combination. In one car, there was a tame moose, owned and handled by an Indian from Eustis, Maine, which will be driven to harness if they can raise money enough to start him. Moose will only work for a certain fee, apparently. There was also a large stallion that weighed 1,500 pounds in charge of Daniel Hobart, also a colt 14 months owned by Tarbox brothers, sired by their stallion bronze that is well broken to harness and can show a fast gait now. He will be shown to harness Tuesday with the yearling stallions. Boy, that's exciting. I'd like to see that moose pull the cart, though. Foreign news, there are 45,000 cases of cholera in Italy and 14,000 deaths since the outbreak. Another Irish farmer has been killed. He had taken an evicted tenant's farm. England's excited over orders to finish the men of war they're now building. And Austria has notified Germany that she will resist any Russian attempt to encroach on the Balkans. Nice to know that things have changed. The New Free Press of Vienna complains of the Tsar's breach of courtesy towards Austria. It says it's noteworthy that the Russian military maneuvers are taking place at the precise corner of the Russian dominions, which would be the principal theater of war in the event of a Russian conflict with Austria. The Emperor Francis Joseph is at the same time reviewing an equal number of Austrian troops, the total being over 60,000 men at the point which would naturally be chosen as the Austrian base of operations in the same event. Thus we see, says the New Free Press, 2 rival camps and 2 rival courts almost within sight of each other. On this day, Robert Hollowell Gardner died suddenly of heart trouble at his residence in Gardner, Maine. The deceased was a son of Sir Robert Hollowell Gardner, after whom the city of Gardner, Maine was named. He resided on the family estate, the Oaklands, in that city, and goes on a bit to describe his background. Now, that Oaklands estate is it's like a castle, and it's privately owned, I believe, but you can look it up online and see some pictures of that. It is really quite the building, one of the great estates. And continuing on, a little bit of a couple more little news stories here. A team belonging to Mr. Henry Norcross of Augusta was stolen from the store Friday evening while he was in a store. The stolen animal is a dapple gray mare weighing 1,000 pounds. The vehicle to which she was attached is a beach wagon. Two men seen hanging around the sidewalk in front of the store early in the evening are supposed to be the thieves, so be on the lookout for that. The Brunswick Telegraph reports this week that there have been 4 cases of diphtheria in Brunswick during the week. 2 of these, one of which resulted fatally, occurred in the houses of the Cabot Manufacturing Company. Also, the Reedfield people are having more than their usual amount of sickness this season. 6 or 8 citizens are now down with jaundice and cholera. The grand jury, and then another story. The grand jury found no bills against the parties from this town brought before them for cider selling. And then they jumped to 2 cases of measles at Kent's Hill, with more in prospect as these 2 students attended church while coughing during the first stage of the disease. Here's our story about the electric yacht. A vessel crosses the English Channel by electricity. Yacht Volta, propelled by electricity, started hence across the channel to Calais on a trial trip today. When last seen from the shore, she was 6 miles out and doing well, and then a follow-up dispatch later. The Volta reached Calais in 3 hours and 51 minutes from the time of her starting from Dover. So isn't that remarkable, an electric-powered ship? On September 14th, 1886, and they were running ships powered by electricity. It's time for Maine's timely tree. Today we're looking at the pitch pine, also known as a candlewood or torch. Height up to 50 to 80 feet. Diameter 1 to 2 feet, no flowers. And it's an evergreen. It requires 37 to 56 inches of rain a year. It will grow in poor, sandy, or dry soil. And of course, we see those in southern Maine, not very, very little interior Maine, at least in the northern part, just southern Maine, coastal Maine. The needles are in bunches of 3. They're 3 to 5 inches long and yellowish green. And they do have pine cones, female pine cones, 2 to 2.3 inches in length, and have prickles on each scale. Pinus rigida. And what else do we have on that? They can, the woodland type ranges from very open to nearly open canopy, in which the pitch pine is dominant, up to 50% cover. You also may see some red maple mixed in there. And we talked about the soil, primarily southern Maine, eastern broadleaf forest province, and extends southward and southwestward from the state along the Atlantic coastal plain. And I like pitch pines. It's a nice, handsome Maine tree, I think. What else do we have? That's good enough for today. Let's take a look at the weather forecast for today. Right now, let's get the temperature out at the airport. 68 degrees and overcast, so still warm for the overnight. Some scattered showers lingering. For today, Wednesday, scattered showers, then sunny. The high is 75. And mostly clear tonight, sunny on Thursday and Friday, with the highs only hitting 64 on Thursday and 67 on Friday. Starting to hit that fall weather. But this isn't the best time of year, right? The bugs aren't around. That is our podcast for today. I hope you and your loved ones enjoy a day that is full of grace, love, and kindness. And until next time, this is Downeast Mike saying, we'll see you.
Sunset, we weren't done yet, walking to the shore. I'll see in your eyes. And here this love we have will never die. But Downeast sunrise. Love for me, I see